Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 76 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Mike, and the returning Sean. Thank you for joining us today. How are the two of you doing?
I'm doing great, but I know nobody wants to hear from me. They want to hear from you, Sean. How are you, my friend?
Yes, you're back from assignment.
I am back from assignment. I did indeed miss my fellow co-hosts, and I missed you, audience. But I had a great trip to the state of Hawaii, and
Fancy.
I know, right? So I got some interesting notes that I'm going to share with you. The return of Sean's travel blog, where I've not had one in a long time. Actually, I don't think have I done a travel recap since last year. Really? Oh,
I was gonna say, have
beginning
you
of this
really
year,
traveled this year?
I went to Arizona in January to see
That's
some
right.
family, and I stayed with them for two weeks, I think. Um, but after that, no, honestly, I've been feeling like a lot of burnout with work and everything that I sorely needed a vacation. So I know you can all imagine me sitting here wearing a Hawaiian shirt, sipping cocktails out of coconuts, and yeah, like with the sunglasses and a hat. That's not. I'm sitting in a white T-shirt and sweatpants. In case anyone was wondering. So yeah, but I do miss Hawaii a little bit, but it's a little too. The sun's a little too brutal for me. I got burned and have my peeling skin here from my sunburn. Not very fun, but the trip overall was fun. I actually went with my in-laws, and it's a rather large family, so there were 9 of us on the trip, and it was indeed a good time. You asked, does the family get along? And the family all got along for this trip. It was very nice. Yeah, we did a lot of interesting things. Because obviously, if you're the kind of person who watches anime and you're listening to our podcast, you probably watch a bunch of other things. We went to Kualoa Ranch on the island of Oahu. Um, Oahu is the main island where you'll find Honolulu, the state's capital, and I also went to Maui. 4 nights in Oahu, 5 in Maui. One of the days we went to Kualoa Ranch where they filmed some scenes for Lost, Jurassic World, Georgia the Jungle, Mighty Joe Young, and a couple shots from Jurassic Park as well. So that was really nifty. We drove in these UTVs. They're like ATVs, except they can seat 4 to 6 people. Some people might also call them. They remind me of the Gators. If anyone's ever like driven one of the Gators before, but or a souped up golf cart, if you will. But yeah, I got to drive one of those around the grounds, and it was very beautiful. It's a really beautiful state, and each island has a little bit of its own personality. So they're not exactly the same, no matter which one you go to. So we did that, and we stayed in Waikiki, which is the very touristy area. But I didn't mind that. I am a tourist after all, so you stay in the touristy area. But it reminds me of how tourists would travel maybe in like the 70s through 90s. Maybe you stay at like the big hotel resort. There's lots of shopping. There's like a little beach that everyone crams onto. We did stay at a very nice one with a very nice beach. I went to the ocean at night. I don't. I'm actually a very poor swimmer, so I didn't go in too far. But going into the ocean at night was nice. Nobody got attacked by a shark. However, in Maui, someone did get stung by a jellyfish. Womp womp. So continue on that road. The food there is very good. One of the interesting things about Hawaiian cuisine is that it's very American, but in a lot of cases they have influences from a lot of other areas. For example, I got to try the Hawaiian sweetbread. If you ever had the King's Hawaiian rolls, the sweetbread is pretty much just the Hawaiian rolls, and I believe that actually came from the Portuguese. So a lot of recipes that we think may be like Hawaiian in nature may not actually be from there specifically, but a blend of recipes from other areas. Also, very big there is Asian cuisine. Even in a lot of places that have American fare, you will find Asian cuisine. Almost every restaurant gives you rice. My gosh, the jasmine rice and the coconut rice there. I'm telling you, I don't know what they do to their rice there in Hawaii, but it is so dang good. I love the rice. And you're like, wow, gushing over the rice. I'm like, yeah, it's good rice, all right. One of the things I discovered over there, let's stick on the topic of cuisine. Uh, I discovered musubi, musubi. And musubi was it's a lump of rice with a piece of spam on top wrapped in seaweed. So I think I had musubi 3 times. Not just the spam, but I had the rice, spam, avocado, and eel, rice, spam, and egg, and it was surprisingly good. I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to buy spam here at home, but the novelty was certainly there. And I tell you what, when you needed cheap food and quick food, musubi really hit the spot. As for the best meal I had there at one of the in Maui, shifting over to the island of Maui, my wife and I did a chef's table at the restaurant at one of the resorts, and it was very good. Um, had a little bit of sashimi, had some uh octopus tentacle. It was the best octopus tentacle I've ever had. I've never had octopus prepared better. It was fantastic. It had I think it was like a lemon vinaigrette on top, and it was grilled on a grill. I don't know about the other spices, but it was phenomenal. Drank a lot of good wine, had some steak. Oh, included in the chef's table was a little bit of was it Wagyu or Kobe? Thing I remember. I'm gonna say Wagyu. Some Wagyu steak, and that they seared it to perfection. I I also had a good bit of seafood. Had some really good seafood meals there. Just a lot of fish. Did one of the luau's, of course. You have to go, even if some people say the luau is like it's kind of show. It's not necessarily a good show of culture or anything like that. But I'm like, yeah, but the food is really dang good, and the show is fun. And they talk about some of their history during the show, depending on which one you go to. And I thought the little history lesson was interesting. How they explain the guys who twirl the fire that you'll see in movies like in Lilo and Stitch from Disney. You will see the man twirling fire sticks, right? And it's not exactly Hawaiian in origin; it's from their Polynesian ancestors. So while on the island of Hawaii, it's not really wasn't really a huge part of their history. It was a history of the people who came and who found the island, the Polynesians, who became the natives of Hawaii. So it was really fantastic to see that and the dancers. All in all, Maui is a very sensitive topic because it, as you know, a few years ago caught on fire, and there was a devastating fire. It left a lot of people without homes. It was truly tragic, and the island still hasn't fully recovered. It takes a long time to rebuild after a fire, and a lot of people's homes still haven't been rebuilt to this day. Uh, but whenever the fire happened, they came out and said, "Hey, don't come to Maui because we're dealing with this tragedy." But now enough time has passed that they kind of want people to come back now. A lot of the hotels there are at 60% capacity, whereas before the fire they were at 100%. Like in 2019 before the pandemic and the fire and everything. So it's very harsh on their economy for people to not travel there right now because a lot of Hawaii's economy is based on travel, and a lot of people rely on the travelers to provide them, for them to get to keep their jobs. So yeah, I felt I guess okay stimulating the economy of Maui. At the same time, in Oahu, I did not have a rental car. In Maui, I did. The rental car did drastically enhance my experience. Being able to drive around the island at will and visit a lot of different places. It was very nice. Oh, and because I'm a true Pittsburgher, on the opening game of the season, I did indeed wake up at 7 a.m. at the hotel Hawaiian time so I could watch the game from my hotel room.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to watch a Steelers victory. So go Steelers.
That wasn't a very exciting game to watch at 7 in the morning.
No, I stayed awake though. I was just so excited for the first game of the season.
That's
I know
fair.
some people would say like, really, you're on vacation. What you want to do is like sit and watch a football game, and I'm like, they underestimate how much of a yinzer I am. All right, I just love Pittsburgh, and I love football. In fact, I went to the game this past Sunday, so and it was very nice. But outside of that, though, I know this isn't a football podcast. However, it could become one if people wanted it. um, but yeah, so those are just some of my highlights, and I could talk about, I could break down every day and what I did, but I think this is an anime podcast and not exactly Sean's travel blog, the podcast. So I know that today we've got episode 12 of Kaiju number 8 and episode 150 My Hero Academia. You want to take it from here, Mike?
I suppose. I mean, you were doing such a great job.
Yeah,
was on the edge
I'm
of
gonna
my
rest
seat.
my voice for a minute.
It's only fair that you do all the talking after having 2 weeks off.
Yeah, that's true. I have a lot to get out here. The
I was gonna
listeners
say-
missed my voice. As I put in the comments how much you missed Sean on the podcast. Yeah, you gotta talk about it. It just wasn't the same without you, Sean. It wasn't the same. Enough of that. I'm muting myself.
Well, let's start with Kaiju number 8, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
Kaiju number 8, episode 12, the season finale. Kafka Hibino. Ichikawa is getting his swole on at the gym. Furuhashi is questioning all of Ichikawa's motives right now. Ichikawa says he wants to get stronger, so next time, he can protect Kafka instead of the other way around. Furuhashi starts training hard because he can't let Ichikawa be stronger than him.
This is kind of a cool scene. I mean, we know Ichikawa pretty well at this point. We know he's a big Kafka supporter, a big fan, and a good friend. And he generally, like, he wishes well for Kafka, especially in this scary time where they have no idea, what's going on or what Kafka's future is. The fact that he's just like, I can't do anything right now for Kafka, so I'm gonna do the only thing I can do, which is improve so I can help protect my friend when he comes back. And just that constant belief that, oh, he will be back. Don't you worry. It's refreshing. I don't know, it's kind of a trope for, shonen animes, but it's done in a I guess a more subtle way than just like friendship is the best thing ever. It's not like shoved in your face. And I like Ichikawa as a character, so I thought this was a good moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Mina shows up to an empty war room. She goes to sit down, and the telecom just says, "Nope, sorry, can't sit down. There hasn't been a seat prepared for you." And I was like, what a dick move. Like, there's no one here. Who cares if she sits down for a little bit?
I also thought that was rude by the voice. There's nobody in the room. The chairs are empty.
The telecom's like, there hasn't been a seat prepared for you. It's like, you mean this entire room full of empty seats?
What's to prepare? You're always preparing. Just sit.
Just go.
People on power trips.
That's what it is, man. It's the man trying to tell me what to do, sit, stand. I do what I want. Thank you very much.
If Mina was a man, would they have said the same thing? This is a classic case of the patriarchy.
There it is.
Back to the main event of Kaiju number 8 versus Aizawa Shinomiya. We see Kafka inside struggling to break free. Aizawa hits Kaiju number 8 with a sonic boom punch.
Sonic Boom!
We see that Kaiju number 8's core is no longer there, though, as he teleports behind Aizawa. The two attempt to punch each other, and their fists clash, and we get an absolutely amazing visual when it happens. We learn that Aizawa isn't necessarily trying to eliminate Kaiju number 8, but instead is seeing how it handles under pressure.
The animation for this fight scene has just like the show in general. I think I've said many times, like the animation's been really good. This last episode, they really were at the top of their game. This whole sequence just looks incredible.
Yeah, I really like the choreography here. I also like the we. I think we learned that if Isao wanted to kill Kaiju number 8, it probably would have already happened. But he's, see how he responds under pressure, and it's a really good test because obviously Kaiju number 8 doesn't want to hurt people. But he's like, yeah, but what happens when you come to a situation where you might have to defend yourself against people? Are you gonna try and kill people or what? So it's gonna be good.
We get an excellent fight sequence with great music playing in the background. This is an absolutely incredible montage. Kafka continues his struggle to break free. Shinomiya begins to cry as she may have to kill Kafka. Shinomiya's encouragement helps Kafka begin to break free, but not before Io Kaiju returns and eats Kafka.
Is Eel Kaiju his real name or just what we're calling him?
I'm just sort of going with that because it looks like Electros from Pokemon.
Nah, that's kind of true. I was getting kind of like Inception vibes because like inside Kafka's body is Eel Kaiju, and then he transforms into Kaiju number 8. So it's like Kaiju number 8 is on the outside, then Kafka's on the inside of that, then Eel Kaiju's on the inside of that. Like what is going on here?
Io Kaiju's like, you will eat me, and then I will eat you, and then you will eat me again.
Yeah, it's like the mirror image reflected in the mirror, and it just goes on eternally. I'm like, this is just what is happening inside here? Too many layers.
I've been waiting for this dude to return. I think it's kind of weird that like we haven't seen him at all. Like, where's he been hanging out?
Inside
Um,
Kafka.
yeah, but I guess my question is, it seems like Kaiju number 9 and 10 were fully, if they have an Eel Kaiju esque guy inside of them, fully took over their host. But why hasn't Eel Kaiju been able to take over Kafka as a host? Is it willpower related? Is it like what? Does he have a plan for later? I want to know these answers.
Kafka is underwater, fading away, when he sees Mina grab his hand and says she'll be waiting for him. Was it me, or did her voice not quite sound like hers, but more like a mix of her, Shinomiya, and maybe Eel Kaiju?
It was definitely distorted, I think. So I think it's like a fusion between like current Mina and young Mina because it's like inside Kafka's mind. So it's kind of like fusing them together and then a little distortion from maybe Eel Kaiju because he's apparently always present, even though we don't know anything about him.
Kaiju number 8 goes for the killing blow, but ends up punching himself in the chest as we see Kafka has taken control again. He then passes out.
That was a close one.
That visual was awesome. It's like, "Ah," and then you just see, and it's like, what? And it's like, oh, yeah, I punched myself.
Yeah, you get like all the blood spray, and you're like, oh man, he just crushed that the guy. He just crushed him right in front of Shinomiya. She just got to watch her dad just get crushed, and then they cut to Kaiju number 8, and it's like, oh no, wait, Kafka punched himself. That's his blood spewing out of him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried when I was watching. I was a little worried.
You were worried about the ship?
Heck no.
Hard to come back from killing the ship's dad.
Yeah, well, they've done crazier things in anime.
We know that this is coming end of the year awards. This is going to be Sean's ship of the year.
I don't like how it's going.
I like the idea of the ship of the year, though.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun. We could call it the Shinomiya Kafka Ship of the Year, presented by Sean Award.
Maybe we should call it something else.
So it's a rough draft of a title.
I definitely think we'll have to revisit that Ship of the Year, though, for our end year episode.
Ship of the Year might be too easy. We may have to divvy it up. I'm just throwing it out there. It's a little hard to beat Free Red and Himmel the Hero. It's a little hard.
I don't know. You have Stark and Fern.
Ooh.
Oh, you could. Oh crap! Actually, that might be a bigger ship for me.
Yeah, right.
Get on with it.
I was gonna say you and I were shipping them every episode.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be. Maybe we'll be tougher. You know. Or how about Baku Deku? You know.
We're gonna have to revisit this for the end of the year episode.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna give away too much.
Spoiler alert.
We see someone hold a giant sword to Kafka. Aizawa tells him to put it away. The sword says 01 on it. I wonder if it was built from Kaiju number 1. We meet 1st Division Captain Gen Narumi, and he gives Aizawa a hard time. He asks, what now when it comes to Kaiju number 8?
Yeah, what now?
Good question.
That's what we'll have the rest of the episode for, I guess. Could you imagine if they just ended the episode right there?
Oh, that'd be
brutal. Like, what now? Oh, you're going to have to just wait for season 2. Sorry.
I mean, the way they end this episode, they don't really answer much anyway. I mean, yeah, we'll get there. Previewing my thoughts.
Back to the war room. Everyone is asking Mina what her thoughts are on Kafka. But the war room doesn't care what she says, but this is all just a formality. Mina recaps all of Kafka's missions and says no matter how many times he failed, he never stopped trying to save people. We get an adorable flashback of a young Kafka holding a young Mina's hand as she mourns the loss of her cat. Mina says she trusts Kafka with her life. The war room is ready to dispose of Kafka, and they want Aizawa's decision.
Pressure's on. What will he decide?
Kafka. Dead man walking the green mile.
All I know is this war room does not like Mina at all. They're like, oh, empty seat? Sorry, can't sit down. Oh, your opinion? Yeah, we don't care.
Just a bunch of a-hole old guys in military.
We invited you here so you could tell your opinion, but we don't care about your opinion. Also, you can't sit. You have to stand.
Yeah, meanwhile, she has more talent in her pinky than like 3/4 of the guys in that room, probably.
I would probably agree.
Aizawa's probably the only one. Oh, at least we've seen Aizawa have more talent and like power than her.
Yeah. He could probably stand up to her. After all, she just has a big gun, so I mean, I guess if one of her 3 shots she can take doesn't hit you, then you win. But the likelihood of her missing one of those 3 shots is pretty low.
I'm willing to bet the bald guy who did a lot of talking throughout the episode, he's probably pretty good, and the eye patch guy is probably pretty good. The rest of them are probably just like pencil pushers. They can't actually do combat. I'm willing to bet.
That's what I was thinking. It's tactical and not based on skill.
We see Kafka recovering in a tank, and we get a flashback to a young Kafka and a young Mina. He talks about how he always hated himself for not being able to do anything to the kaiju that made Mina cry. He decided he would rather die as a human than let the kaiju take his mind and body. Aizawa is there when Kafka wakes up. Kafka is so glad that Aizawa is not dead. He asks Aizawa if he is indeed a human and if he can stay on the defense force. Aizawa points out the scar on Kafka's chest and says, if you were a human, you'd be dead. That behind that scar is your core. But the question is, so you are indeed a kaiju, but the question is, are you an enemy or not?
I mean, we already know the answer to that.
I don't know. He was looking pretty
Oh, as if he
fierce when
loses control again.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he was only like lashing out because the inner kaiju thought that Shinomiya's dad was a kaiju. So, like, he will only crush kaiju, not people.
Back to the war room. Zhao believes that Kafka can be controlled, and that if they make a weapon out of his body, it may not be as powerful as Kafka is now. Aizawa is concerned about the increase in kaijus. He remembers how much damage Kaiju number 6 caused, including the deaths of 200 officers and his wife. He worries that the kaiju will get so powerful that they will destroy the nation.
See, Isao is a good man because he recognizes that there's so many new kaijus that it's funny because they're like all these stupid old guys, right? Who run the thing. They're like, there's no precedent for this. Oh my goodness, guys, there's no precedent. And they're like, did you not see the kaiju bomb? It was like a nuke. You ever seen that before? There's no precedent for that either. Like, are you guys stupid? Like, like obviously the kaijus have the means to blow us all up anyway. So yeah, may as well recruit one of them who says he's willing to help us. Like, man, I hate all these like old fuddy duddies, man. They're just so scared to take any risks. I understand it's a big risk, but you're like, it's like they ignore all the kaiju attacks. Thank goodness Isao has a level head on his shoulders. I like this man.
That also kind of made me laugh because there's no precedent. Well, there was no precedent for the very first kaiju that ever appeared. How'd you handle that? Did you just run away? Obviously, you killed it. So, like, just because something is different now doesn't mean that like you can't adapt in order to, conquer the new threat.
They use kaiju flesh to make their suits.
Yeah,
They use kaiju bones to make their weapons. I'm like, there was no precedent for that. They've been using kaiju stuff forever. Who's to say one of these suits won't go crazy one of these times and hurt people for them
exactly.
using it when it gets close to other kaijus? Like cowards. They're cowards. Isao set them straight.
Stupid cowards.
Aizawa calls Kafka by his name and says if Kafka wants to survive, he has to prove his worth. Kafka says he's not a weapon and that one day he will make Aizawa accept him as a member of the Defense Force.
Good speech.
Yep, agree.
We get a montage of the characters seeing that Kafka is returning while the credits play. Everyone is ecstatic about his return. Kafka falls asleep while Aizawa is trying to talk to him. Kafka whispers, "Wait for me, Mina." I love this montage.
That's such a Kafka thing to do, just like fall asleep in the middle of a conversation.
I mean,
It
who's
is
to
very
blame
Kafka.
him, though? He just had an insane fight. His body is recovering.
Absolutely. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying it's very like in character for him. He's like, I'm gonna be part of the defense force.
Plus, he's the old guy. He has a 4 o'clock dinner time.
Dude, I wish I had a dedicated nap time throughout the day. That'd be amazing. Like right after lunch.
I love for Furuha. She's like, "All right, old dude."
I love he just calls him old dude.
Yo, he's my favorite of like the non-main characters.
He's pretty good.
We see members of the cleaning crew losing at chess to some number 9 guy that just started playing. We learn that this number 9 guy is Kaiju number 9, playing 12 games of chess at one time to learn about humanity. He says they are ready to proceed with the next phase of their plan.
I don't know if chess is a good way to learn about humanity. Strategy, sure. Humanity? I don't know.
And like, not everyone plays chess.
Right?
Also, I love how the cleaning crew is like, "Oh, who's this number 9 guy?"
It's-
It's like, the news has just been talking about Kaiju number 9, and this dude has a 9 in his name. What are the odds that they're not related?
It is kind of interesting that he refers to himself as number 9 though. That's not just like a human term for the kaiju. He refers to himself as kaiju number 9.
What if they don't really have names?
That could be. Maybe they just refer to themselves as numbers based
Yeah.
on power or something.
Well, it's like the humans call me Kaiju number 9. I wasn't given a name, so I'll just roll with 9, I guess.
It's interesting.
What did you two think of this episode?
This is one of the best episodes of the series. The only thing that I'm mad about is that we don't have more answers about the kaiju that possessed Kafka. I want to know so much more about this guy, and we know nothing. Like, we don't know why he's there. We don't know what his motives are. Well, his motives are to kill everything, but like, we don't know how he got there or why he chose Kafka in particular. So those are the questions that I have, and I really want to see season 2 so we get those answered.
I really enjoyed this episode, and I also really enjoyed this show. I'm very excited for a season 2, and I could almost see this show doing maybe like 3 or 4 seasons total. Season 2 will be like Kafka in the Defense Force, fighting just generic kaijus. Maybe we get like Kaiju 11 or something. Season 3 is going to be like this internal struggle with the kaiju inside him, and we learn more about that, hopefully, and they explain that. And then like season 4 will be like the finale. We take care of 9. Maybe all the kaiju get destroyed. Peace returns to the world, etc. That's my prediction, at least. But yeah, this was a great episode. Really good show. It's up there on my list of favorite shows now. I've enjoyed watching it week to week, and hopefully we don't have to wait too terribly long for a season 2.
Well, it looks like you'll get your wish because season 2 is coming in 2025,
Yay!
Heck yeah.
That's not far from now.
as well as a compilation movie of the first season in an original anime episode, which will focus on Hoshina's day off.
Huh. Interesting.
What did you think?
Of the episode, I thought it was fantastic. I don't think I've had one episode I didn't like of this show.
I only had one. It quickly rebounded.
What did you two think of this season?
Give me more. That's the. It's always nice when you get to the end of a season, you think, "Give me more," right? And I'm glad that the next season's announced already. And same with it's just it was great whenever we got like, we're gonna get more My Hero, we're gonna get more Free Ren, we're gonna get just more and more and more of things we like, and I love that we're getting multiple seasons of anime these days. It's really nice. I'm just more Demon Slayer, more Jujutsu Kaisen, like lots of fun stuff on the way. So just add this one to the hype train, and I'm all aboard.
I'm thirsty after talking about Kaiju number 8. And you know what they say, alcohol's the best medicine. And that means it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer comes to you from Three Floyds, and it is their Pillar of Beasts, a 13.7% barley wine, brewed with salted caramel, vanilla beans, and cacao nibs. Then it is aged for 12 months in bourbon barrels. I was a big fan of this beer. It was fantastic. Super smooth for being 13.7%. And I'm a big barley wine fan, as well as a big fan of Three Floyds. Turtle, you can keep the anime ranter in the lockbox this week. This beer does not get a ranter.
Well, maybe next time.
This beer is fantastic. The average untapped rating is a 4.21, and I give it a 4.5. Now that our thirst has been quenched, let's shift gears to talk about My Hero Academia Season 7. My Hero Academia 150. Those who defend, those who violate. Deku is on his way to the coffin in the sky when the first wielder appears and says he has a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this. Get it? It's a Star Wars joke.
Phantom Thief can't believe he's seeing Bakugo down, with Best Jeanist crying over him. He has a flashback to how confident Bakugo was in the competition between Class A and Class B. He says Bakugo can't die. We see Lemillion crying while looking at Bakugo. Best Jeanist is pouring denim threads into Bakugo's hearts. Shigaraki calls out Eraser, claiming that this is his fault. Shigaraki tells Mirko that the heroes are doomed. Well, that's a sad montage, right, to start things off.
Yeah, things are not looking so good here. Our heroes are just getting destroyed.
I know people who stopped watching the show because they said it got too depressing
I mean, that's
before
fair.
this.
That's fair. They're throwing a lot of depressing shit out.
Yeah.
I mean, I get like, it's darkest before the dawn or whatever bullshit they say, but yeah, it's getting pretty dark.
Dobby is somehow back with some AEW levels of booking here. You know, putting the big fight first and then finishing the feud off with some stupid ass match. It's like, oh, we're going to start this feud off with a Hell in a Cell and we'll end it with a lumberjack match. But anyways, Dobby says he took a chance and copied Todoroki's big move. Dobby is wondering where Endeavor is. Yay, the Liberation Front is back hacking the hero's computer system. As you can tell, not a fan of this scene at all, from all levels.
Um, I hadn't planned on this, but maybe I should bust out a ranter toward the end of this. We'll let it keep going, but yeah,
Let
I'm
it
I'm
simmer.
we're gonna let it simmer a little bit. We'll come back to this.
Sean, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I know that. How do I say this? Hacking does not work the way that they always show. You know what
Just,
I mean?
look at me pound on the keyboard and, you are now hacked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually like I send an email to some people at UA, and if one of them opens it and clicks my phishing link, then
I sent this email to all the old people, and one of them clicked it.
I now installed a virus on your computer that will show you a picture of a butt every time you log in. Haha! You have been hacked.
All for One is regenerating in front of Hawks and Endeavor, and he has one hell of a glow up. He no longer has his breathing mask and he looks normal again. The doctor is back, and we learn that he was able to reproduce Ares' rewind quirk into a one-time use drug for All for One. The doctor can't wait to see All for One back in his prime.
me too. I mean, yeah, definitely not rooting for that guy.
This, like, we'll get into it more about in the generic thoughts, but like, a lot of this just feels like, okay, we need to extend the manga more, so let's not kill off any of the main villains. Let's oh look, they have this way of regenerating. Oh look, they're still they're not dead yet. Oh look, we had a magic bullet for them. It's like, all right, like, we could just like let Dobby go because that fight was awesome. We could let All for One be in bad shape.
Well, he's gotta, all for one, he's gotta have the the Frieza, like, the henshin, the transformation.
This isn't even my final form.
Oh yeah, and I think there's definitely some. I have a feeling online. I haven't gone online. I haven't searched Reddit or any other anime forums, but I imagine there's a little bit of thirst for All for One, if you know what I mean.
I could see that.
Oh, I
There's
never
probably
would have
some
thought that.
thirst. Yeah. Oh yeah. After the mask comes off and he starts rewinding, definitely gonna be some thirst.
People want some shadow daddies.
I mean, when he's that shitty of a human being, I don't know how anybody can thirst for that, but what do I
Oh
know?
no! Everyone wants they want the bad guy. Women like the villain. Not all women, but a lot of women, they like the villain. You know?
Yeah, they like the person who beats the shit out of them and treats them like garbage.
No,
It's great.
the hero. Here's how it works. The hero would let you burn to save the world, but the villain would burn the world to save you, and that's the logic.
I
Let me
I
put it
don't
this
get
way.
it, but
Uh, my wife does some writing and explained how this works to me.
like I see like on paper, but in reality, that's not how it works. That's the person who's gonna like beat and abuse you.
That's how it works in fantasy land because books aren't fantasy. I mean, books
Mm,
aren't real. Books are fantasy; they're not real. In fantasy land, that's how it works. In reality, yes, the man who's actually a villain is probably a horrifically abusive partner.
I mean,
But
I could
yeah.
see at the same time, like the hero, the good person, could be drawn to very dark places after losing someone close to them or something bad happened to someone close to them. So that could be flipped on its head. Look at that.
Well, yeah. I mean that stuff happens. I mean, we look at our own heroes in modern society. There are a lot of, for example, like soldiers with PTSD, who unfortunately PTSD leads them down a dark path. Like they're people who've done heroic things in real life, where the pressure or the trauma gets to them. I think about even back to anime. If anyone here has watched Tiger and Bunny, um, like their version of All Might, essentially, like their golden age hero kind of guy. One of the villains in the show, Thanatos, actually is the son of that great hero, and that hero was an absolutely terrible, abusive piece of crap to him. And but no one knew that side of the guy except for his son, who grew up messed up. So yeah, I guess if you watch The Boys, well, that takes things to another level.
That's a fantastic show.
It's very good. I haven't watched the most recent season, but I plan to.
All for One touches down and starts stealing the quirk of a jabroni hero. We learn that All for One is going Benjamin Button, and the rewind drug will continue to work until he ceases to exist.
Sorry, going Benjamin Button got me. It's so true, though. It's exactly what's happening.
Eventually, like, baby All for One will be fighting Deku. Like,
Uh,
goo goo gaga.
I'm not saying anything.
That would be strange.
All for One says he's going to save Shigaraki. Hawks tries to stall him by asking where he got this plan from. And All for One says comic books.
Where all good plans come from.
I just think it's weird when comic book characters, I know it's a manga, but heroes. When comic book characters reference comic books, it's always like so weird to me. I don't know why. It just feels odd.
I could see that. We go to the White House and see the president saying they must strike a deal with Shigaraki. He blames Star's boss, who he learned is named Tim,
Love it.
For Shigaraki seeing the U.S. as an enemy, and that other nations are looking to strike a deal. The president says that this deal must be done to save their future. Tim wonders what Star died for.
Yeah, I do too.
Sean, I'm really starting to side with you that Star should have just killed Shigaraki and we
Just
could have moved on.
walloped him. Use that air thing. Just did an uppercut upwards and blasted him into space. Would have been fantastic.
And game over. Star wins. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was gonna say they have one more option, and probably not a good one, but they could launch the nukes.
Launch the nukes.
The way this went, the nukes aren't even powerful enough somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
But Deku punching a guy might be enough, so I guess we'll stay tuned to find out.
All for One would have some sort of like nuclear radiation absorbing quirk to just make him stronger.
Dude has a quirk for everything, man. He has the ultimate armor, the
Yeah,
plot armor.
it's getting ridiculous.
Edshot goes up to Best Genus and says, "Don't worry. He has plenty of experience with the human body." As he begins to pour himself into Bakugo's body. claims that Bakugo's heart will beat again. He says he will become Bakugo's heart if he has to. We learn that Oh, go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
I would say, yeah. Well, no. Actually, you go because you're about to explain what exactly is happening here.
Yes.
Because when I read this manga panel at first, I was like, "You're doing what now?"
Yeah, like before they cut to like they did the mid episode cut, I'm like, huh? What?
I'm like,
Because like
figuratively or literally?
yeah, like we always see Ed Shot and like the background and stuff, but like we've never really seen Ed Shot do or have his quirk explained prior to this.
Yeah, no, he really hasn't. Like, he does stuff, and you're like, I don't understand what that quirk is.
We learn that Ed Shot's quirk is that he can stretch his body as thin as he wants, and over the years of training, he can get as thin as spider silk. We see him enter Bakugo's body, and we see that Best Jeanist has sutured Bakugo's heart, but we learn that Bakugo's lungs are also beat up as well as other organs. Edshot begins to heal Bakugo's organs, and Edshot is stretched so thin that it's causing damage to his own life.
I guess he doesn't need to breathe anymore, or something. This was a bit of a stretch. Don't mind me. Uh, Edshot's quirk is to stretch. I think this concept is a stretch for sure. Like, what? Just let the boy die.
Plot convenience.
That's how. What? Trust me. When I read the manga panel and they ripped Bakugar's heart out of his chest pretty much, I was like, there's no way this guy's staying dead because we need the power of friendship to win. And Bakugo is Deku's friend. There's no way they're going to leave him dead. And here we are bringing him back.
I am not a writer by any means. I've never written anything that's been published. I don't think I have enough writing skills to have anything published. I think this would be so much more impactful if we knew who Ed Shot was and what his abilities were like a long time ago. And to then reach this point where he sacrifices himself or is sacrificing himself to bring Bakugo back. I don't know. This just didn't really impact me all that much. To me, this felt like, well, okay, Bakugo is dead or dying. How can I write it back in the story where he can come back from this? This guy's here. He can just have the ability to stretch into thread and can fix him. That's all I got out of this.
Shigaraki yells that he has already finished the job. And then Mirko breaks free from his grasp, looking to attack. She lands a strike. Shigaraki wonders why he didn't feel any pain from the attack. He wonders if he felt threatened by Bakugo, some lowly extra. Mirko charges at Shigaraki as Lemillion holds his hands over Shigaraki's eyes. She begins kicking Shigaraki repeatedly.
Blocking Shigaraki's eyes was kind of nifty. Like it was like it was so goofy, but I was like, you know what? He can't see. Like if you actually like if someone can't see, it's hard to defend.
I love Lemillion. I legit love Lemillion. He's a funny character. He is like very positive, uh, for himself and the others around him. He's just such a great character. So to see him get his powers back and just to do something so silly as covering up someone's eyes, the villain's eyes, just so he can't see, is such a big help. He's such a great character.
We see a young Shigaraki saying he wasn't broken back then, but nobody reached out to him, that nobody cared about him. In present day, his body begins to change form again, and instead of having a giant arm of fingers, the fingers now envelop him. Mirko goes to charge again, but Shigaraki lays waste to all of the heroes. All except Lemillion, who he says isn't worth his time.
That's just rude.
Lemillion can't believe that he's worthless with nobody to defend. Lemillion can't believe that this is the future that Night Eye saw when he told Lemillion he would become a great hero. The heroes are going to drop the barrier for 2 seconds. Lemillion continues to wonder what he can do. He then thinks about how he made Night Eye laugh. He then appears in front of Shigaraki. He sticks his butt out at him saying, "Brought a peach for you!" It's long enough to distract Shigaraki as we see Deku has arrived and kicks Shigaraki in the face.
It gives off the same energy as remember Guardians of the Galaxy 1, where Peter Quill just starts dancing. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm distracting you." And then it just buys them just enough time. Like that's what this is, like the same energy as that. You know what I mean? In a serious situation, just do something so off the wall and crazy. That it just all he had to do was stop him for 2 seconds for them to let Deku in. And it worked.
He had a big peach too.
I think the animators took some liberties.
I was going to say, crazy to not notice that peach in all of his other scenes.
This is probably my favorite moment in the entire episode. And I mean, I just mentioned before that I'm a big Lemillion fan, and he's silly and, it makes me laugh. But he's just like this. I'm going to pull the ranter in a little bit here. We're going to get to discussions.
Whoa.
I'm going to rant a little bit. But before we get into there, I don't want to jump too far ahead. Lemillion's just a great character. He's very, very funny. And part of my issue with this episode is there's a lot of just monologuing. And the only monologuing that has any payoff is Lemillion's.
This episode is over. What did you guys think of it?
Go ahead, Sean.
It feels a little Dragon Ball-y. You spend a lot of time waiting for Deku to get there. You know what I mean? It's like a Dragon Ball when just like every episode is like, all right, guys, when's Goku gonna get here? Like that's how this feels a little bit. I'm just like, I like that the side characters are getting a little bit of spotlight, but honestly, like dead serious, Shigaraki probably should have had this wrapped up a while ago. With the battle, and I'm glad he finally just like flung a bunch of people around and like KO'd them, because I'm like, yeah, it's about time. That's all I have to say. So yeah, he took care of the jobbers, all the jabronis, and now Deku is here, and now the real fight can begin, because we all know without Deku, nobody's getting anything done. And I think that I'm not saying it hurts the show, but it hurts shonen a lot. Like when I watch shonen shows, and I'm like, they're just waiting for the main character to get here, and that's how this feels. So overall, I think it's a more positive than negative episode, but I'm excited to see what they have for us next. I'm looking forward to some good animation and to some fun fights.
I thought this episode was really good. I had 2 gripes. The return of Dobby, which was just out of left field, and then they did nothing else with it for the rest of the episode. And then the All for One glow up. But otherwise, I thought it was a good episode. I'm hoping we can start moving a little bit faster paced for the rest of this season. It's like, okay, Deku is on the scene. Like, it's go time now.
Are we ready?
Ready if you are.
Lay it down,
right.
Turtle.
Future editing me. Cue the rant.
Anime Ranter.
All right, I don't get a chance to use this ranter enough, so I hadn't planned on doing this, but what the hell? Let's do it. This whole episode is just people monologuing. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. The only thing that happens is Deku shows up at the very, very end to kick Shigaraki in the face, And finally, somebody shut this guy up. Shigaraki just keeps talking. I can't stand him. This is a terrible villain, in my opinion. I'm so bored with him. I'm ready for this to end. All for One's doing nothing, too. He's just talking. Watch me de-age and Benjamin Button until I cease to exist. All you got to do is stall for time, and then he's dealt with. He's done. Like this, I don't know. This season has been such a big disappointment for me. I was so bored watching this. You get everybody and their mother talking. They bring Dobby back, which I did call he was going to come back before. Like I knew he was going to come back, but then like they don't resolve that because they keep jumping from point to point and they can't finish a train of thought without jumping to something else. The pacing irritates me. They're not giving me any solid ideas, solid thoughts. Like, hey, let's jump from here to there. And this whole episode was just monologuing, people talking. Watch my evil plan. Watch as I do this. Watch as I talk about this. God, everybody shut the fuck up and let's fight. Come on. This is a shonen show, right? Shonen battle anime. Like, and let's look at some of the older seasons, okay? Like season 1, season 2. Like there were fights, but like the writing was just good. It was better. This is just boring. Nothing's happening. And I'm a One Piece fan, but this is severe what I call One Piece syndrome, where they just stretch it out for as long as they can before anything happens. One Piece has that, more modern One Piece anyway. I love One Piece. I will continue to watch the show, even though they stretch it out and make it as long and as possible. This episode in particular, to me, nothing happened until the very, very end. Deku finally shows up to kick Shigaraki in the face. And guess what? The episode's over. We don't have time to actually show you anything because everybody talked for the entire 20 minutes.
Anime Ranter.
And there's my rant.
Hell of a rant. It is, I mean, you make a lot of good points though. Like, I've been finding this season hard to get into, and it's like all the jump cuts are a lot. All the monologuing is a lot. It's like we start with the big fight between Star and Shigaraki, and then it's like we got the good fight between Todoroki and Dobby, and then it's like, yes, this is my master plan for the episode. Next episode, this is my master plan for the episode. It's like, okay, can like y'all fight or something, like anything?
So like, the manga's officially over, correct? It ended?
Yeah, recently.
Why are we stretching this out so much?
I think it's because I think we only have one season after this. I think this is just like the Infinity Gauntlet leading into Endgame.
Well, you can't do a comparison for that. Those movies were good. This episode writing is just bad. And like all the seasons prior build up to this, I think were excellent. I don't remember really having complaints with all the other seasons. But this for some reason is like falling apart in front of me and I can't figure out what it is besides just like the writing is not great for this season and the pacing is just awful. Awful. You can cut half of this shit out. Like you don't need it. You could have shortened up the talking, had more action, actually stick with the whole fight sequence before moving to something else instead of jumping around. Like they could have made this incredible. And I feel like they're really dropping the ball.
Yeah, and by the way, I really did think that this was our last season, and it ended up, it is indeed not, which is, surprising because I don't know, I've read the manga and I'm like, I feel like they probably could have wrapped this up in one season. I'm not saying they're stretching it, but I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're working too hard to wrap it up either. So that's, I don't know.
I'm starting to wonder if like, whoever heads the anime is just like, well, we want to try to squeeze another season out because it's profitable. Cuz I'm not liking this season at all. Which sucks because I want to. I loved all the other seasons prior to this. But this has just been a really hard watch for me. There have been like the first couple episodes with Star were good, and they killed her off immediately because she was a good character. And there was like one other episode that I thought was pretty good. I don't remember which one, but like the rest of these I've not liked, and this one's no exception. I don't like this one either.
Yeah, and it's only going to be 21 episodes. Shout out to Dylan versus Comics in our comment section for pointing that out to us about what the opening change. Um, it's only gonna be 21 episodes, so I'm like, dang, they probably could have just dragged it out, unless who knows, maybe they're gonna do a Demon Slayer. You know what I mean? Maybe they're gonna try and wrap it up in a movie or something. Who knows? I don't
I don't
know.
know. But I
Uh,
don't hate this show. I don't. I don't want, any listeners, like we've not really talked about My Hero until this season. I do not hate this show. I love all the episodes up to this season. But I just feel like this season is being helmed by somebody else and they don't know what they're doing. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, now that we ranted, shall we talk about our waifus of the week?
Let's do that. That's more positive.
Let's lighten the mood, shall we? Turtle, why don't you start us with your waifu of the week?
That sounds good. I had some pretty heavy stuff there, so let's try to twist it into a positive. My waifu of the week, I don't know, this might be kind of easy. I'm going with my boy Kafka. Come on, it's the last episode of Kaiju number 8. We have to wait until next year to watch more. I mean, Kafka's awesome. He's funny. He's powerful. He's old like me. I mean, what's not to love about this guy? I really enjoyed Kaiju number 8. Honestly, it's become one of my favorite shows in recent time. Not free run level, but it's, for a shonen show, it's caught my interest and I want more. And yeah, I mean, Kafka is so great that they named this episode after him. It's literally his name. So yeah, my waifu of the week is Kafka.
Sean, who's your waifu of the week?
so it's difficult wrapping up Kaiju number 8, leaving us on such a positive note there. For the whole season, my waifu probably would have been Kaiju number 8 himself, Kafka. However, for this episode, I have to give it to Isao because depending on who you ship his future father-in-law, maybe. I'm kidding. Don't take it. But no, he single-handedly saved Kafka. Like they obviously everyone in the military there respects his words so much that he says, you know what, if I could deliver that kind of beating to Kaiju number 8, and he's able to maintain his humanity and defend himself and grant me mercy, then we can use him to fight Kaiju. And without Isao, Kafka is exterminated. So shout out to a man who I think is going to play a very big role in season 2, Isao.
I was very tempted to go with Isao as well, or someone from Kaiju number 8, but I'm going to go with Edshot, just because he's using plot convenience to save Bakugo for the power of friendship in the coming episodes.
Sean's favorite character.
And in the process, probably killing himself. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Kaiju number 8 in My Hero Academia. We hope you join us next week for episode 77 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will continue our watch of My Hero Academia Season 7, and we will begin our watch of the Hashira training arc for Demon Slayer. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.